Good morning, friends. I am Dr. Naval Singh Todawat, Assistant Professor in the subject of Botany, Moreshwar Arts, Science and Commerce College, Bokardan, District Jalna. Friends, we are going through the lecture series for the BSc second year students on the paper Plant Ecology. We have gone through a lot of aspects on plant ecology, that is biotics as well as abiotics factors. Today we will be learning on the topic soil erosion and soil conservation. What is soil erosion? Soil erosion can be defined as the uppermost or toppermost layer of the soil which is washed off and detached from the mother part of the land. This detachment of soil lose the fertility, minerals, beneficiary microbes, and living things. Friends, we all are aware that the process of making soil, collectively we called it as that the weathering is responsible to form the soil. And soil is not formed in 1 year or 2 year or 1 or 2 days. It is a very long term process of more than 100 of years. This process by the help of weathering is carry on. In nature, this process are continuously going on of formation of soil and formation of soil profile. But on the other hand, as the process of soil formation is going on, it has been noted that the soil erosion is also going on. Now, what are the reasons behind these soil erosions? The reason behind soil erosions are some natural factors as well as some man-made factors. We'll discuss one by one the each factor. When we focus on the natural factors, we seems to that in natural factors most of the time rain, heavy rains, winds, ice, air currents as well as firing of the forest, these factors are responsible for the soil erosions. Whereas from man, deforestation has been seen. Domesticated animals overgrazing in the forest is also one of the factor for soil erosion. Cutting of trees for the development such as industries, societies, buildings and for the commercial purpose. Development in case of railway tracks, roads and many more. So these all factors are collectively responsible for the soil erosion. We'll have a little bit discussion on one by one. Whereas when we talk about the rainfall, we'll focus on the geographical region of our India. We see that there are mountainous region, hilly region, valleys, flat area such as Deccan Plateau, lands, agriculture land, forest land, then along the roadsides, all these lands. When we see the heavy rainfall in the mountainous region, we come across that along with the water, the soil particles or the soil which passes through the water which flows towards the downwards. When the topwards mountainous region accepts the rain and the rainwater which flows towards the downward, the soil of the uppermost part is washed off and which is taken away from the top part through the mode of water into the canals or rivers. This soil is been washed and it is pass away numbers of kilometers from its mother land. So this is one of the region of the soil. How these water currents or the water flow takes away the soil. While agriculturing or in the field of agriculture, we have been noticed that most of the farmers till now are irrigating their farms with the flooding method. This flooding method is not that much useful as compared to the drip irrigated or sprinkle irrigated method. But it has been noted that most of the farmers till now are also uh, giving the water to their fields or the lands or the crops by the mode of flooding, and this is also one of the factor which affects the soil erosions. Friends, there are lots of factors those cause the soil erosion. When we see the floods in the rivers, along the bank of the rivers, or in the streams, or in the small, we called it as nalas or small rivers. When the water enlarge or expands, which along the river sides, the trees or the crops on the banks of these rivers are completely uprooted, and the soil which is being held by these roots is being loosed. The holding capacity has become loosed, and it is moving along the water currents or along the flood, and this soil ultimately the tree will die or it may collapse and the soil will be run off or it will be washed off from its mother place. Whereas, friend, without soil, we can't assume of the life because we all know that soil is one of the most important particle or it is most important aspect for the survival of the plants and do the animals survive on the plant. So the soil plays an big chain link between the living organisms. So, soil is one of the most important aspects, and by keeping these things in our mind, we have to conserve these soils. Soil erosions have been seen due to the wind velocity or high current air in the arid region, in semi-arid region, somewhat in tropical region. Then you may call it as in temperate region. But most peculiar example we can give in the desert region, how the air currents carry the soil or soil particles along with it to the kilometers or to the numbers of kilometers, and all the soil particles are pass away from one place to the another place with these air currents. These air currents have been seen more devastating for the soil profile. So, friend, yeah, you might have been known how the soil erosion is going on in nature by natural processes as well as by the human beings, and most of the mans are also responsible for the. Now we see the digging process is going continuously in our areas. Most of the time we see that stone removing, soil removing for the preparation of bricks for the cement factories. They remove the stones and lot of industrial area. They are also one of the factor for the responsible of the soil erosions. When we talk, there are various and multiple factors of the soil erosion. One of the factor is forest fire also. We have heard about the forest fire in a large forest or in a large area. Sometimes it has been seen that natural causes are there for the forest fire, such as lightning in rainy seasons, lightning of the there is a cloud crushings, or what we say can that in that the lightning happens, and these lightnings are responsible to burn the grasses as well as the trees in the forest area, and these factors flames the fire in the forest. And what happens after the forest, uh, after the fire in the forest, that after the fire occurs and fire is off, whatever the ground vegetation, that is grasses and herbs, are burned out completely, and the root system which holds the soil or vice versa, these roots are also burned in this area, and the area is completely barren. Seeds of the plants have been seen to be burned, then microbes, useful microorganisms, animals, and all these things, they are in the form of the debris, they are in the soil. But as in the rainy seasons, the rain occurs in the burnt area or in the barren area, the soil particle become loose, the holding capacity become loose. Holding capacity of, we are not talking about the uh, water holding capacity, but all these loose factors or the losing of the soil or the tightening of the soil becomes loose, and with the rainy season or in the rainy season, this uppermost part, humus part or profile part of the soil from the forest or from the agriculture fields or from the roadsides or from the orchards or from the fruit gardens, wherever the areas were burned, they are being washed off. So these all are the collectively factors of the soil erosions. Now the question arises, is there any method to conserve these soils? Why there is need of the soil conservations? There is need of the soil conservation because soil process is not a artificial process that we can produce in industries or factories. This is the natural process, this is the natural things the nature has given us. So one has to uh, show his duties to conserve the soil, and it is our responsibility to conserve the soil on this earth, because without soil we cannot assume the life. What is soil? To prevent from the soil loss and from the erosion or reduce the fertility caused by. Nowadays we are seeing the chemical fertilizers, pesticides, soil contamination due to these chemicals, acidification, salinization. All these factors are responsible for the soil erosion, and we have to prevent all these factors. Nowadays in the farming, where mostly generally we see or we hear that pesticides and fertilizers, chemical fertilizers more frequently are used in the farming, and they are causing a big huge loss to our nature or to our the health of the soil. Thus, health of the soil has been be completely disturbed, and now it's our duty to improve the health of the soil by preventing such factors. How one has to prevent the soil health, or how one can improve the soil health? See, here are some factors, that is contour farming, terrace farming, organic farming, restore wetlands, planting vegetations, cover and forest restoration, planting buffer strip along the stream banks, windbreaks, and the proper waste disposal management. All these factors are described here. But of this, what we see in a huge manner, see organic farming. Here, one thing is been suggested for the organic farming. Why organic farming? Due to these chemicals and due to these pesticides, fertilizers, the profile of not only the soil but the groundwater level or the groundwater chemical constituent has been increased. You might have been heard the carcinogenic substances have been entered or inculcated in the groundwater. And obviously, when the groundwater is chemically polluted, none of the organism can survive, or whatever the water, the contaminated water is consumed, they are disturbing our day-to-day life of the organisms. They might be interfering with our physiology, they might be interfering with our anatomy, with plants anatomy, animals anatomy, and it may be inherent in our DNA, or there might be problems like mutations of DNA due to this chemical contamination of water. As we drink, all the organisms, life on the earth drinks the water, and when the groundwater is contaminated with the chemicals, then it is a huge question in front of man to think and how one can improve that. And the option or the way to break or to check this chemical farming or chemical fertilizing farming, that is organic farming. What we do in organic chemicals and fertilizers are stopped. The farming is done with the help of the cow dung, and the fertilizers are produced from the organic material, that is raw material of our agri or of our fields or of our crops. With the help of this, we produce the fertilizers, and this is given to our crops. It might be of millet, grain crops, spices, then cottons, or whatever it may be. This organic farming has been practices, and it is now been worldwide accepted in the vice versa of the inorganic farming. Why to conserve soil? A set of management strategies to prevention of soil being eroded from the earth's surface, which becomes chemically altered by overuse, that is salinization, acidification, and chemical contamination. Friends, the figures or the slides you are observing in this video is not mine. It is taken from the slideshare.net.com for your reference. So I am just one of the presenting these slides in front of you. And okay, why soil conservation in for important? Which provides nutrients, filters water, stores water. Soil is the basis of life on earth, as we talked earlier, which gives nutrients and provides glucose as well as the oxygen. So, this is the definition of soil conservation, a set of management of strategies, acidification, and um, all the things we have taught. Terrace farming. What is terrace farming? Is one of the very good methods of soil conservation. We can farm, or we can have a crop on the sloping land into a number of levels. flat areas resembling a series of steps. When we talk about the mountains, when we assume the picture of the mountains, we know that the mountains are the slopy areas from top to the groundwards. On these mountains, most of the time we see the terrace farming or the step farming. Collectively, we call it as step farming. In this terrace or step farming, most of the time when we farm, what we try to make an area of flatten of more than 4 to 5 feet, and such type of cycle is being developed from top to the downwards. For example, such type of farming you can see in the region of Sikkim, the state of India, and you can also see such type of farming in the Himachal Pradesh, that we see the coffee and tea plantations, orchards, and a few of the areas like Sikkim, there we see the some food grains, wheat, potatoes. Nowadays they are farming. So this is one of the most important and useful terrace farming. With this farming, we can block the soil at that level, and we can prevent it going to the downwards with the rain water. This is one method. Soil conservation, method of soil, cover crops, plant tree, terrace farming, and all these things. Why to plant the trees? We know that the roots of the trees are firmly hold in the soil. As the tree grow tall, they also keep rooting deeper in the soil, and the soil is being held by these roots and deep into the layers of the soil. They also contribute to with the help of the soil erosion. When in rainy water, in floods, these roots holds the soil and they don't allow the soil to move from the parental area. That is under a vegetative cover has hardly any chance of getting eroded as the vegetative cover acts, that we may call as wind barrier. Grass area, or have you might be have heard about the areas which is full of grasses and the member of the poaceae families. In those areas, we see that these grasses they holds the uppermost soil. The root system of the uppermost soil is being seen in the so friends, benefits of no till farming. So we'll see this: control soil erosion, maintains crop productivity, organic matters, organic constituents, increases the soil profile, wind reduces the soil erosions, and evaporations of the soil decreases. Crop pattern. This is one of the important factor for the soil erosions. Rotation of crop pattern is one of the most essential steps or method in helping the soil erosion. And rotation of crops will increase the soil health as well as the soil profile with its nutrients and maintain the pH also. Well, rotation of crops increase the microbial condition in the soil, such as the bacteria, earthworm, and most of the useful or beneficiary bacteria, nitrogen fixing bacteria, and many more, such as rhizobium and all that. So, friends, in today's lecture, this was actually an important topic of soil erosion and soil conservation. World is thinking about this issue, how to prevent this from these factors of soil erosion, and what measures and what steps can be taken for the soil conservations. So this was regarding the in this video you might have been learn how to prevent the soil erosion and how to conserve the soil. What do you mean by soil erosions? If you have any doubt, please contact me on my mail ID. And thank you for today's lecture series.